Slider. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 104 of Tactical Crouch. We are a competitive Overwatch podcast. I am KickedTripod, joined by Yiska and Volamel. We've got an incredible show for you. A lot of things to talk about. May is done, and we have a lot of thoughts that we're going to bring to you on the show today. So thanks for being here. Yeah, we're going to get started. Let's do that. Hey guys. Did you have a good weekend?
I had a fantastic weekend.
You had a good weekend?
Beautiful weekend.
Good.
Scenic weekend.
What was your favorite part of your weekend?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Coming with the hard questions here on Tactical Crouch. Jeez.
It felt like it was like old times, right? It felt kind of nostalgic, like waking up super early, you know, trying to catch these games, you know, not getting to see the super important ones, but catching some later, just like the atmosphere. It felt nice. It felt like a return to an essence of what we could be. Hopefully we can get there though.
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Yeah.
Such a good time.
Mm-hmm. A lot of fun. A lot of great games this weekend. We're not going to spoil it all right now, though. We are going to do the housekeeping things, get ready to go. Whoo! Man, it was a Dream in chat says it definitely reminded me of Overwatch glory days. And I don't think that we would disagree with you. I was telling the guys before we started the show, I go, let's play a prank on everybody. And let's just come out just absolutely all over Melee and be like, oh, I didn't do this, and like Blizzard didn't do enough here, and oh, some of the teams are bad, and then we decided not to, but we're gonna be like, psych.
I couldn't.
Yeah, we couldn't do it to you guys. Y'all are too nice.
Yeah.
You don't deserve that. You don't deserve to be treated like that. Don't ever let anybody treat you like that.
That's right.
I also don't know how I'd even begin to make that argument other than like assist delay or something like that. Like I'd have to really get to my line back to make that point.
I prefer no stakes in my Overwatch.
So does Yiska.
No stakes, and I like the ambiguity of kind of knowing who's playing who and why. I think that was really great, and I kind of miss seeing my favorite heroes get traded out every once in a while, just so that absence makes the heart grow fonder, is what they say. And if I can see all of my heroes on a given week, how am I supposed to miss them and therefore enjoy them?
Hero pools is the chastity belt of gaming.
Why are you like this?
Just saying.
Do I clip that? Do I hit my clip button now that I have one?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Hero pools are the chastity belt. I'm going to make a naked picture of Yiska wearing a chastity belt over the area, and it's just gonna be like a picture of McCree or something over the area.
McCree with like a stop sign, the face crossed out and desaturated.
Yeah. Yep. That's what it's gonna be. There we go. Hey, we did the thumbnail. Now we just need to come up with a show title.
A show title.
And you just have to type it up. It'll be easy. We're doing your job for you. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 104 of Tactical Crouch. We're happy that you're here. The show records live Monday and Wednesdays at noon Pacific time. A lot of people have been asking, hey, what are you guys going to do on Wednesday? Because we have so many weeks off before the next Overwatch League game. We're going to do our best to get, and you guys have asked for this, and we want to do this. We're going to try our best to get some guests on here for the Wednesday shows. And we're always trying to get guests. It's really hard for anybody involved with the leagues or with the teams to come on when they don't have breaks. So you have to kind of wait for them to have breaks, or for somebody to just be completely ungodly with their schedule, have something open up or whatever. But we do have a guest, and that's going to be Dream. Dream's going to be coming on, coach for the Houston Outlaws, talking about his thoughts on, obviously, the Outlaws. We're going to ask him a lot of Outlaws questions, ask him about the Melee, the format, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be huge poggers. It's going to be a ton of fun. Tune in Wednesday at noon Pacific time. Have a Dreams. If you have questions for Dream, tweet us tactical_crouch. Put it in the Crouchers Discord or in the podcast discussion section, or email us. No, don't email us. I don't have an email for us anymore. So you guys should play comp for those week breaks. Yeah, we'll just play comp together. It's fun because when we do play, I've played comp with Joe a few times, and when we do, we always call in Coach Volamel, and he tries to lead a bunch of like gold players into like a strategy for taking a point, and it's just bad. Nice. It's bad. We did, though. I think the most success we've ever had running, and this is the case for most people. The most success I've seen people have running compositions and trying to coach them through it on the ladder is just kick, tripod, dive.
Mm-hmm.
It just tends to do the best. It doesn't matter if you're top 500 or bronze. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned coach or you're brand new to the game. Just kick tripod is intuitive. It makes sense, and it's difficult to defend against. So,
you cost 222.
Basically, I did. Basically, I broke the game here. Oh my god, that is so cool. 3 Linux did a little fan art for tactical crouch. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yo, it's sick.
So sick. That's so cool.
Wait, what's this?
In chat. Sorry. For the audio listeners, we had somebody post fan art. We never get fan art, and I kind of think it's really awesome. Thank you so much. That looks so cool.
Wow, dude. Nice.
Look at that. Joe, you look so badass. Anyways, hey guys. Welcome to it. Let's get into the news. Before we do, big thank you to our Patreon producers: Battlecrab Pin, Lolshin, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Porkchop Sammy, Kasha67, Coochie Kopi, Shara Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, and Refined Bean, and Rex Zane. I almost said Zex Rain. I'm going to have to figure that out.
Also a sick name. Sounds like a Mass Effect character.
Rex Zane. Yeah. So yeah, big thank you to our Patreon producers. You like the show, go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch or subscribe at twitch.tv/KickedTripod. Those are great ways to do that. Let's discuss what's going on in the Overwatch League before we discuss Melee, and that is going to be some roster moves. We got roster moves coming in. We'll go through these relatively quickly. Boston Uprising first added Mikey. Joe?
Sure did.
Thoughts?
It is a little strange for them to be signing a main tank with fusions on the roster. I don't see like that changing anytime soon, so it's kind of bizarre. I won't lie to you. I have no idea who this person is. I have very little to say about them. Interesting. Boston kind of, adding some sort of redundancy to their roster. I don't hate it, but I also give it some skeptical eyes. I don't know what this means, if it means anything. I don't really know how to judge it either. So it's interesting-ish. Kind of like,
At least they're not standing still.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
If there's one thing that Boston has shown in the past, 2.5 seasons, so at this point, is their ability to find relatively unknown players for a good price and have them turn out to strong performances. I agree. I don't know a whole lot about them. And we'll have to see. I don't, Yiska, anything to add? Anything your EU brain sees here?
Not really. And I'll be honest, it's really hard to keep up with contenders at the moment.
It is.
So in that regard. I know the big players, but like, I can't say that I saw these recruitments coming. But yeah,
I will say if they have a positive track record going forward, and if Punk really has kind of changed the face of this roster, then hopefully Mikey can continue that trend and bring them some added wins as well. So good things. I like the point of not staying stagnant. Iteration is good. So props to Uprising. At least we're moving somewhere.
I think a lot of people too are going to immediately draw to when you add depth to a position, especially on Boston, it could mean that they're looking for buyers or they have a buyer. And so
sure,
you're like, I don't know why they would do this when they have Fusions. Well, Fusions is also one of the quote unquote best players on the team. So naturally that would be somebody Boston would decide to move, at least if you look at their track record in that. Another one though, the brand new Vancouver Titans added Shockwave, who I think, I don't know, for me, I thought had an admirable performance this weekend. I think it was out of the performances we saw, I think it was one of the better, if not the best performance out of a Justice player that we saw. At the very least, it was the most visible performance.
Yeah.
On
definitely,
the good side.
yeah.
But there could be stuff going on behind the scenes of that you guys see that I don't, because you have brains. But I don't know. I think I look at this in a positive light. Titans adding new people, new blood, adding not necessarily a known quantity, I guess. But not a Mikey though either, right? Like,
yeah, not somebody. I definitely heard the name Shockwave thrown around a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, still not super familiar with him, but what he showed on stage, there was some promise there. I will say that I wasn't a giant fan of their kind of one-dimensional, just have him turn off voice chat and just run flanks all day. I feel like that was kind of picked up on pretty quickly, and past that point, it wasn't.
Said exactly 0 good words about the guy.
Was not a super big fan, but it did work. 2 maps straight, it did work. But it also gets shut down pretty easily once you go, hey, this guy is just always behind us. Why don't we kill him?
And then what backpedaling looks like, chat. That's what it looks like.
Sorry, did you have Seoul? What was it that you double backed on your article? It was Chengdu versus who?
You 50-50.
Yeah, was it Chengdu versus Seoul?
I mean,
and you said Chengdu on the show and then wrote Seoul?
Yeah, but between then and there, Slime was picked up. So still have plausible deniability. Not that he didn't play, but I thought he would.
Did you?
I thought he would, yeah.
I believe he thought he'd play, but I don't think that he believes that was going to be like a deciding factor in somehow beating Chengdu.
Anyways, Titans
I don't believe you.
Shockwave.
Shockwave
I think at the very least, he immediately made an impact on the roster, right?
Yeah, which is
100%. Something that I think that you want to see from your new players, and we'll have to kind of see. There's big shoes to fill when Corey and Stratus are gone, so we'll have to see. Why did I say that? That was Justice, not Titans. Never mind.
Mean, they're kind of like the same color.
So there's no joke, especially now that they're just like two. Shut up, chat. Now that they're just 2 rosters of nobodies, they're just basically the same to me.
One's Korean, one's Western. It's like me.
Washington State and Vancouver are right next to each other, and Washington D.C. I don't even equate it to Washington D.C. anymore. Like, it's just I'm struggling. Anyways, Toronto Defiant add. How did they say this? Is it just Zeke?
Zeke
to a 14-day contract.
Seemed okay.
Seemed fine.
I think the bigger thing here with Toronto is, where's Surefour? What's up with Surefour? Where's Agilities? Why not Agilities? No.
Get those Canadians out of my Canadian team. And they're gone.
What are we doing there, Toronto? What's up with your star players? No Mangachu? No, I guess he's kind of a coach now. That's true.
I hear Valorant's coming out soon.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, we shouldn't clown. There could be very valid reasons.
I'm not clowning. I'm just hands up in the air. Like,
we already
why
know
are we
there's
signing
a burnout problem? Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's valid reasons for these people to not show up.
Mm.
And I also think it was okay. I think a well-performing Shofu is, of course, an asset to that team, as he would be for too many teams. But I kind of like that they're, widening the roster. I'm not sure if they could have gotten someone else. I also don't know much about Zeke.
Yeah.
Or however he's pronounced. I don't even know how his name is pronounced. So, but yeah, that's more towards me being ignorant. That says more about me not watching contenders than probably it does for him.
Yeah.
I got to change that, by the way. I need to get back on the contenders train. It's been tough.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Especially adding 2 shows. It's just like there's a lot to prepare for.
Lots of Owl as well, and then of course lots of Valorant. So
playoffs are coming up for contenders around the world, so that'll be interesting. Got to kind of catch up for that, and that'll be a nice Owl substitute for the time being, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm already pretty close to 70 hours per week for esports, so adding contenders. And to be fair, if I was to add a contenders region, it would also be Korea, of course. Just from a payoff and storytelling perspective, that's the bigger yield there, right?
Yeah.
Sadly the case, or you may feel about that how you like, but we'll see how that develops. In general, it's kind of nice that people are picking up fresh blood, because they don't miss that most of these pickups actually make sense in the moment, and they are also playing pretty well. If you think Punk, of course, some of them are completely opaque right now. Where's Twilight? Where's Slime? Right? Yeah. For them, it's more like, are they picking up those players for the long play to sell them eventually? What's the thing there? But there's definitely teams that pick up good players out of necessity and are gaining based on that. So, and for those recruitments, it's actually quite fun to see them integrated, as they are promising players, and with the right coaching, they can develop themselves.
Totally.
The other big ones, Washington Justice signed Janu to a longer term contract and promote Pri to GM. We're going to stay away from we're going to move forward, I think, on the Justice on this one, in the sense of there's a new regime. I think we had a long, good discussion about everything last week. But, Janu's there full term on a longer term contract now. Do you like that?
In a vacuum,
depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that because it is a sign towards that moving in a different direction. And someone like Janu should only sign if there was promises made, and which will likely be kept. So in that regard, yeah. I mean, there's still a bunch of really good Korean assets out there to be signed. Haksal is still out there.
True.
Mag, when the Overwatch League comes back, he's of age. Then who else could we think about? Who else from Vancouver? Somin Su is not signed yet.
True.
Strictly speaking, Jaehong is not signed yet.
I think Nice becomes of age next season as well. So if you're going Mag, who doesn't want to kind of already form a DPS tank duo? Two great players. Be a great way to kind of lead yourself into a brighter 2021. Can't complain there. fully Korean definitely sets you up for success. So
I think
in a theory, Janu long term seems okay, but I just can't get over like the heartbreak for Elivo. Like, kid tried his butt off and did really well on this team, and now he's just being kind of like ponied around. Like, hey, look, it's Elivo. He's doing our interviews and stuff. It just feels really bad.
It also feels like they missed their train to a hybrid roster that could be very potent once Corey retired, because that, like, having an elite player like Corey, like, you don't have to fight for respect from Korean players at all if you're this good.
Yep.
And if you can attract like maybe one or two more Western guys with like solid skill and also leadership, and then add Koreans on top and make it a really like the long play, the thing that the Shock did, the thing that the Fusion do, then because you have more access to the entire market, you can just adapt to the market forces way better and create the stronger roster and are more flexible and more robust to these volatility states. So sadly, that seems to have been, they might have missed their window there, because honestly, I don't know if any of their, let me think, if I'm not, other than Elevode, who probably shouldn't be played ahead of Janu, is there any Western player that you would field there?
Instead of Janu?
No, instead of just like something you could angle a hybrid roster around.
Nobody jumps out at me, like, especially coming out of contenders. But there again, like we've been saying, I haven't really given contenders a good sift through. I'm sure there is. Yeah, nobody kind of leaps off the page right now. And plus, I've always been one to kind of keep it insular a little bit. That's kind of been where we don't see eye to eye, rather. Is I agree with you that in the long run that, mixed rosters are probably the way to go, but to build out the team and where it is now, I probably would stay full Korean. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where I butt heads with you. I'd like to see Justice commit to going full Korean, have a full Korean coaching staff, and try to recruit players that way. And then in the future, if things allow for it, maybe go mixed. But yeah, I've always been keep it one language, make it easier.
Yeah, right. I can see that, and definitely in the short term, like this season's like is a wash, right? Definitely. So injustice, like right. So
let's I as interesting as these things are, we're gonna have time to, I think, discuss more, and I expect that we'll see more. We'll see more roster moves probably over the next few weeks as we get into the next Melee, and everybody's got a chance to practice and sign and focus on those things. So instead, what we're going to do is let's actually talk about the May Melee. And before we discuss last week's results, let's discuss what is going to happen moving forward. So right now, we've got 3 weeks off. We got a 3-week break from Overwatch League matches. They're going to be returning on June 13th and 14th. Do we call it the Summer Skirmish, the Summer Showdown, or the Summer Smackdown? It's going to be a great question. We'll see what they do.
July Joust.
July Joust is bad.
The July Jamboree.
Jubilee.
Jambalaya.
Jambalaya.
That's a food.
Katie made jambalaya last week, and it was so good.
Never had jambalaya.
It's good. It's good. Anyways, so after that, we're gonna have 3 weeks of presumably seeding competition before we go into a regional tournament again. So it looks like we're taking a crack at May Melee round 2. I don't believe we have any more specifics than that at this point in time, but they said that more info is going to be coming out in the coming days.
Yes.
I'm just going to go out on a limb. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. I'm fine with that. This is way better than just the 28 games online only, no stake, best of 4 kind of. This is good.
Yep. Big good.
We're good. We're happy. Bye, Yiska. Hi, Yiska.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Anyways.
On the cameras?
He's back. Yeah, we're good. We're fine.
Sorry.
Anyways, so it's coming back. Overall optimism here, I believe.
Oh yeah, this is fantastic. I'm glad that we're getting another one. Part of me wants to ask for more. Hopefully there is more news coming. I hate to continue to beat the drum, but it's like we still have a problem. We haven't really addressed it. We haven't really talked much about it.
Oh God. Yeah, say.
Why? What are we doing with hero pools? You've left the door open, Blizzard. Everything right now is on such a high. Why don't you just put us out of our misery and just get rid of it? Just end it all. It would be perfect timing.
Why is there not an immediate draw after this weeks of matches? Might that be an indicator that someone's talking about it?
I'd look into it.
Maybe there's someone pushing for that.
Hopefully. We know that people have been, right? Nobody's happy about this.
Yeah.
If anything, they're trying to find a solution.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And it's finding a solution, but why do we need to find a solution if it's just inherently bad?
I think maybe we're at this point in the season where we wouldn't expect it to all fall into one meta again. And there is a thing to be said about features that are inherently flawed, but introduced to. And I was going to write an article about this, and there's probably one coming anyway. I'll put it in an article to have it all out there and have it better framed. But the basic idea is there is such a thing as aggressively patching the fan base. And how do you do that? You introduce features that teach people certain skills to do stuff, right? So in the same sense, how we're breeding a generation of autodidactic learners by this pandemic and having children teach themselves their schoolwork, we are raising a coaching staff, a player staff that has learned to build compositions, right? And with that, and the proven track record that maybe for everyone outside the absolute top tier, it is worth playing those diverging compositions, but it is also the case that teams have moved their bar charts. If you guys remember, and I'm quickly going to reiterate what Christopher said, but it's basically bar charts in terms of the archetypes, meta archetypes that you're playing. So Rush, if a team has played a lot of Rush and has constantly gravitated towards it, your bar chart of that is higher. If your region has played a lot of Sombra, your bar chart of that is higher. And you're more likely to gravitate towards these comps. Now, the bar charts, like the overlap of bar charts in the Overwatch League overall, is very diverse right now. So in order for it to all diverge into one system once again, where everyone's playing the same meta, it would require probably about as much time, if not more, to even get people on the same train to think like this again. Yep. So I think if you took hero pools away now, there's still residual muscle build up. That you worked out that compositional building muscle. You worked out that Sombra muscle. You worked up that dive muscle for that team and that rush muscle for that. And for that to atrophy, it would take longer than the season lasts, is what I believe. Mm-hmm. So I think and you might very well be concerned for diversity. leaving hero pools out would now create a cool situation where people are playing towards their preferred archetypes and would likely gravitate towards the way they want to play the game in that particular moment, and will explore into these directions as well, unless they have heavy changes or have B teams and all this type of stuff, right? If that hypothesis is true, and once again, we also have breaks right now. We have a pretty sizable break even, which, by the way, I commend the Overwatch League for. I'm not sure why that is, why we have that break, but it is distressing a lot of situations. Unless there's something happening within that break that I don't know about. But I think my take is we're depressurizing the league, we're giving them a little bit of rest, and we're taking that time to reassess the situation. Win-win for everyone. Once again,
this is fantastic. Again, commencements to the help team.
I think I'm kind of reiterating a couple of your points, but I might approach it from just a different enough angle that I'm going to say it. I don't know. Like, I agree with you, Yiska, that, you know, if we just go no hero pools for the rest of the season, that we likely see a bit more diversity, because there's not enough time to really figure out the quote unquote meta, assuming that there is a meta to figure out, which is not a wrong assumption, I would say. But I don't think that it's a very good, like, long-term stability solution. And I worry about that. Like, for me personally, I want to see changes in the league that are long-term stabilized or long-term move us toward a solution that isn't just like, oh, you know what? Now hero pools aren't going to really affect that much anymore, so let's just cut them off now, kind of thing. And I think that you can't really communicate that ahead of time without getting kind of, then you have teams practicing without hero pools ahead of time, and now they're practicing two metas because they need to be ready for no hero pool meta as well as hero pool meta. And I
mean, what's happening right now? That's exactly what's happening, right? We don't know.
Right. We don't want
during
that.
this break. Yeah.
During this break, you think they were practicing for no hero pool and hero pool?
I mean, unless there is an official word to the teams right now,
and I have to assume as much.
Like, I don't know if teams know what.
I mean, I don't know if they know what the next hero pool is.
But they know that the system's in place where you might have a qualifier where hero pools are in.
I want to believe that the teams know if there's going to be hero pools and when. Like, I want to believe, and Overwatch has earned my trust a bit here to say that the teams know.
Maybe.
Hey, teams, the DMs are open. Tell me if you know.
Yeah, tell us if you know.
Because there's definitely teams that don't even know where they're playing next, right? Like, that's definitely a thing.
That is a thing. And maybe it's a good thing to be like, you know what, you guys take a week off and we're going to tell you next week and you have 2 weeks to prepare.
I guess in that sense, yeah, there's like by having that complete knowledge bubble, it's like not practicing maybe isn't as bad, and recuperating might actually be the play.
More team building type stuff and regrouping and doing the things around the actual gameplay. Maybe that makes the most sense.
Sure.
I will say this, and somebody posted Huck's tweet in chat as well. I wanted to bring up the point anyways, is that Huck felt that hero pools helped teams experiment in a way that when the rails were taken off, the teams were able to be more comfortable and more free in their confidence picks and kind of be able to exercise muscles that they might not have. Would we have seen dive with no hero pools if we didn't have Orisa gone before?
Yes.
Or whatever. Like, and that's a bad example because, you know me, I don't remember those types of things. But
I don't think it's a strat thing.
Hopefully you understand the point I'm trying to make, though, is that
100%.
And so, anyways.
No, really fast though. One to kind of cap this off, because I have a couple of points. I don't think the removal of hero pools would increase diversity. I think it would take away the manufactured diversity and give you genuine strategies that people are actually buying into and perform really well on. What we have to remember also with these like really stringent and like kind of strangholdy metas of last season is that everybody was in one singular place. Everybody was in LA. So everybody just scrimmed each other on really low ping, really never got to experiment much with anything. And some people that did just were shunned out, like a Chengdu, like anybody, like a Valiant of this season, oh, that's a fraudulent comp, that's dishonest. We're not going to scrim you. We're going to blacklist you. You're no good. You're no good to us. You're bad practice. That doesn't happen now because everything is so, you're playing against a contenders team. You're having to really buy into these comfort picks, which teams were already doing going into this season because of how not diverse, but how different practice was going to have to be with travel in mind. So I still go back to the shows months ago. It feels like, which is accurate, but this was always going to happen. These metas that were there, existent, but different for each team. They had their color. The Mayhem's compositions and the Seoul's composition. What's Seoul good at versus what's Philly's good at? They're all different. It's not going to be this black and white binary. If it's either metas are, strangulating the game and you only get to play one thing and it's mandatory, or nothing at all and everything has to be crazy. No, there is a middle ground, and we're seeing that now. We were always going to see that. Here it is. We don't need multiple different rails. We don't need 15 different rail carts to jump to. Just leave it be. It will settle out in a good place.
I am 100% okay with melee, we'll call them melee length hero pools, with a pretty major balance chance or balance patch between them.
Sure.
I mean, if we okay have to with that. So I think we need to see what it would look like with no hero pools with aggressive balance changes, which Blizzard has not done yet. And Joe, I know you want to see that. And I know that every step towards that we go to, the better it gets, is only more of a justification for your implementation. I personally think that Blizzard hasn't gotten my trust is in their ability to balance effectively.
Sure.
And in that respect, and I don't think that I think that there's a lot of time and effort that goes into that I think we maybe underplay, and wanting weekly, bi-weekly aggressive patch changes and stuff isn't something that we're likely to ever see. But I think like a 5-6 week change, I think I can be okay with that. If they can't make aggressive changes in 6 weeks, then at this point I'm kind of like, why are you trying to be an esport? But yeah. Anyways, I don't want to go too
real fast on that point though.
No, mine's the last one. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You don't get better at that at practicing or flexing that muscle, to kind of use Yiska's analogy, if you don't do it. And that's what hero pools really has been, is just not an admission, but you could see how people could frame it that way, is like, we really don't know how to balance this game. We're just going to put the system in place, let it run a couple patterns, and come out the other end, hopefully.
I don't think that is an admission that they don't know how to balance the game.
That's not what I'm saying. But you can see how people could see it that way and say like, well, you're not balancing it. You're just kind of, you say you're going to aggressively balance it, but you don't. And now you just have this system that's just inherently broken. And you're not doing anything about it. So it's like, I could agree. I'm on board. We have to change this system. It's not healthy. If it's 1 month hero pools, I'm okay with that. If it's no hero pools, I'm also okay with that. I'd much prefer that, but I'm okay with either or. But the system has to change inherently. That's as cynical as I'll be.
Fair enough. And at the end of it, let's be very clear. All of us are very happy with the Overwatch that we saw this past weekend. It was, I remember thinking up tweets about it, and I was getting teary-eyed about it. I was so happy and just so elated about it. And yeah, exactly. Best weekend of Overwatch, and we on hero pools. Let's go. Heat Walrus, you're right. We're done talking about that. Good thing that there's timestamps for the YouTube listeners. So you can bypass. But if you're hearing about it now, we're already done with it. In which case, now you know. So hey,
True.
All right, let's discuss some of these matches. Lots of matches to discuss. And we're gonna go through the. You guys just want to go through the NA bracket first? No, let's change it up.
I think Asia was kind of boring.
You do think Asia was kind of boring?
Outside of the finals, it was pretty weak.
Okay, well here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Oh, come on. I'm interested to hear what you have to say then.
Hold on. Something needs to be said.
Sure. Get it out of the way.
So, I believe that there was one of us, just only one, who said that people are overreacting on Seoul.
It's true.
And this person, handsome voice, handsome face, great sense of style.
I like that hoodie.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
That's from my mom.
Thank you,
great
Mom.
sense of style. Had said that people are overreacting to the Seoul Dynasty and that they don't deserve the hits in the power rankings that they're getting right now based off of really just 1.5 questionable performances. People are subbing in chat right now. That's how hard they agree with that. ZT Money agrees. Just kidding. Thank you, ZT Money. Seoul defeating Hangzhou 3-0, Guangzhou 3-2. Joe, what are your thoughts? What do you have to say about that? I mean, I know we didn't make a Lord bet because you chickened out on it last week.
No, Seoul's another team with the players they have now that, again, I referenced this on the show, and we've talked about this attribute of this London Spitfire core that can just turn it up when they seemingly want to. Going into the Charge game after watching them just kind of dismantle the Spark, I still wasn't convinced. I went, dude, the Spark did not play at. I don't know if this was a pickup game.
It was so much a Spark loss that it was hard to attribute it as a Seoul game. I get it. I understand that.
Spark just did nothing.
Yeah,
it felt like they took 3 fights the entire map. Like it was one fight on one map and
enter NYXL and be like, what would we do against Shanghai?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the only, like, other than NYXL, Shanghai, of course. But, like, yeah, it was disappointing, but it was also kind of understandable why they, like, I don't know. I think they are sort of in a transitional period where once Architect comes in.
Sure.
I'm not sure what else they might be wanting to do with that roster. I'm not leaking anything here. Just saying, like, maybe there's something else.
But if you
they need to restructure,
what would you be leaking right now?
No, I actually really don't know. I just thought getting Architect maybe communicates like a commitment towards the rest of the season.
And that very well might be, but you don't just they bring on inactivity for no reason. So like it makes sense what you're saying, but it doesn't excuse the horrible performance against Seoul.
There's a difference between a 3-0 and a 3-0.
Yeah,
and that was a 3-0.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with a 3-0.
Yeah. And there are those, but none of those were those.
No.
So
unfortunate.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that is not the exciting part about this region though. Like, I think what is exciting is you see that the Spark will eventually get there. Right?
Not really.
Or at least
what gave you
potential hope? Architect when he comes in, you know?
I'm hoping. They need to do some massive restructuring, or this kid's coming into a team that had that kind of a performance.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? I hope they can turn it around, but
in those
that
ways,
was rough.
This week functioned in the ways what was done. This functioned like a hero pool week, right?
It did.
Like I'd like to see them in all the other weeks, and there's some even this no hero pool week still advantaged some teams over others. Like Florida was advantaged by hero pools.
Hero pools,
and we'll talk about this later.
No hero pools are a hero pool, right? Christopher in even some said sense, it, right? Yeah. Like no hero pools are a hero pool.
Sorta.
Yeah. So
no, they are. Because I said it. They are.
But that's the exciting stuff in this region is look at the divide between the worst team and the best team. Shanghai can take, London can take Shanghai to map 5. I'm not even sure if London is the worst team in that region anymore.
I don't think they are.
Chengdu can take NYXL to map 5. Spark, we have reasons to believe that they can go further. Charge, theoretically, also could be better. There is, you have probably, Shanghai is the best team. And then you have, based on the day and, the hero pool and what kinds of things are running into each other. So many teams that could be the second best team in the league, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth. Where, yes, there's mild ranking there, but in all actual fact, there's, if you look at how they beat each other in a circle, like how Spark sometimes wins against Charge and also wins against Seoul, and then NYXL comes in, but they also don't have a chance against Shanghai, but then they play another team close. I don't know, this entire structure, also with Seoul, of course, being really volatile. As I said in the article that I wrote today, I think there's an argument to be made that this region is being kept volatile by the size and the scrim bubbles, therefore having different forms. So if one team finds out something meta optimal, think about how scrim bubbles could be different, that it takes maybe a day or two in order to travel to another team on the other side of the bubble.
Yeah. Or
how if one team in NA plays a comp, plays a second team, that second team plays, and the size of their practice pool is probably bigger, where it permeates or spreads, the virus spreads of that Torp virus, whatever, spreads quicker, and therefore you don't have the same volatility where someone's completely popping off or completely gone in NA as much as you have in Asia. Because at this point, we also have to say it's no longer just Seoul and just Chengdu. To a degree, the fact that London can hang with Shanghai also kind of transports that same idea, right? And then sometimes Spark can also clap Seoul 3-0 and this type of stuff. So in that sense, I mean, it's that just makes Asia a region where every game could potentially be a fun one. And that is not currently the case in NA, where if Justice plays Fusion, that's not going to be a good game. If Toronto, Vancouver plays Shock, lights out.
Not a good game. Yeah.
And that's not true in Asia right now.
No,
to be fair, you just named two teams that were just completely dismantled.
Yeah.
It's worth talking about. And again, I don't agree, because pre-dismantling, it was still, I would say Vancouver probably wasn't the case, but Justice was the case. They were still really bad, and now they're just as bad / worse, at least results wise, right now. So that's fine. But it's worth saying that these are two teams that
outliers for sure.
Are outliers. I think the teams that you probably have to look at is Boston, but even then, Boston have changed. So I mean, so above that, do you do? Hope Dream's not listening. Outlaws.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm super jazzed to watch an Outlaws
the
Shock
only
game.
Bottom 5 team that hasn't made pretty big changes, if you believe they're a bottom 5 team at all.
I don't know. I think if I'm watching Houston against Shock, I'm not seeing an exciting game, right?
Yeah, and even then, two of you had Outlaws beating Fuel. Not me though.
Yeah.
Not me. Just saying. I think if Joe and I were in the same room right now, that's where I'd get like a good old friendly jab.
I give you some head tilts and some eyes.
Those hurt more than punches.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll give you a little jab. But I think Yiska touches on a really interesting point that I kind of wish we'd see instead of hero pools is another region to kind of sift some of these teams over and give kind of create another region to kind of force teams to scrim around, if that makes sense. Because Asia, you have your games. Well, you had your games so far in advance with COVID, not so much anymore, but you have your games planned out so far in advance that you kind of know who you can't really scrim, right? And when you have so little teams in just your OWL region, you're really not scrimming against your opponents, your future opponents, even 5-6 weeks down the line. Obviously, in before that, you're not scrimming them at all because that would give them, useful information. You want to kind of keep it separate, but with a lower player pool or a lower team pool in a region, I wonder if that kind of, like what Yiska is saying, increases diversity because you're forced to scrim outside of the box and really kind of double down on what you think is good rather than seeing what Charge thinks is good or what Seoul thinks is good or what Shanghai thinks is good. So the virus doesn't spread so much. Whereas in NA, it does. You can scrim the Gladiators this week because there's so many different teams. So maybe if we added another region and just kind of cut NA in half and just really separated them, somehow force them to live somewhere else. I don't know. Like it's impossible, but just
force them to live somewhere else. It's weird, right? Because
make Overwatch unplayable at 130 ping and you're good.
Like there is a world where imagine if stages were just a reorganization. So imagine we go to a stage or even a tournament structure where you have this reorganization of teams. And obviously the big changes are you have obviously 8-ish teams in Asia, and then you have the other 12 in NA. But imagine that you are able to effectively send teams back and forth across whatever. Post-COVID, that should be more possible, but there's still a lot of cool, where do they live? Where do they go? Do they really have to travel 6 weeks straight or 5 weeks straight and then go back or whatever? There's definitely still a lot of logistical issues there. But I think a really prime thing is I don't necessarily know that I love conferences just at all.
Yeah, if you're bleeding between one another, it doesn't really interest me. It just seems arbitrary. But if you were to kind of set hard boundaries and you see these international type competitions every once in a while, whether it's a May Melee or a June Jubilee, whatever we're calling it, I think it draws people in a lot more. I think it's what if we see this team versus this team? What if we see Shanghai versus the Shock? That's going to draw a name. That's going to draw butts and seats because we haven't seen it. And it's the two top teams. It's the heavyweights from both regions, and they're going to head to head. One-stop shop. You get to see it once a year.
Yeah,
that's the TI. That's the Worlds. That's that
conferences
primal.
Are just a logistical construct, right? They're there because arbitrary. And largely, I think traveling. Season 1, there was no reason to have conferences.
Yeah,
as far as I can see. So, and conferences and divisions, I'm using kind of interchangeably because the Overwatch League has as well. Yeah. But yeah, so I do agree though. I would really like to see something. I'd like to see something different there. I'd like to see, again, we have one clearly weaker region, and there's no real litmus test on how it compares to the other region until you get to the grand finals, and it's surprise.
Guess not.
Yeah. Back to the Asia region though. So we kind of talked about Seoul. Do we talk about how close it was that Shanghai ended up winning this whole thing, but they almost lost in the quarterfinals.
They did almost lose to London.
They did.
I'm skeptical hippo-eyeing that one. I'm looking at you, Moon. I don't know about this. You're on thin ice with me, buddy.
Or London is just good.
I do think I think most things are column A, column B. I do think London has improved. They look like they improved.
Yeah.
But I wonder how prepared they were looking at, who they were preparing for in their next match. Were they looking ahead?
When you look at that final,
When you look at that final, you see those 3 games, you see some real weird hero, roster moves, DMs coming in the final. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we making this harder on ourselves? You probably, I won't speak for the Dragons, but I can't imagine that you've had a bunch of time to be able to scrim with your whole roster. Also, why are we, I don't know. There's got to be some arcane trickery going on, because this, I don't know. I do think Shanghai probably was looking ahead, but I also think that London has improved quite a lot, and I don't think they're the worst team in the region. It's also hard to tell who the worst team in the region is, because right now, if I had to just go off of what we see, it's probably Spark. Doesn't feel like it's Spark, but
I would say Chengdu.
Yeah, there's an argument for that, even though I think they've improved as well. They didn't look horrible versus New York, but this is also New York that kind of looked horrible, so it's hard to tell.
That's what I'm saying. Like, New York looking shaky against a bad team is not
a good sign.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. So obviously, I think you guys kind of touched on this or discussed this. So NYXL completely bombing out against Shanghai.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about it a little bit more, because I was flabbergasted at the performance that New York put up against the Dragons. That was horrible.
Yeah.
Mono feeding his brains out. First death that I can count on very vivid memories of him dying first in 6 different fights. Just throwing him, catapulting himself in there as Monkey and just dying over and over and over. The Anubis chase through dark and just giving up the point to kill a Lucio and a BAP. What? This was a mental booming if I've ever seen one. There at no point did NYXL even look good. I award you 0 points, NYXL, and God have mercy on your soul, because that was hot trash.
May God have mercy on your soul.
You said it, not me. You said it, not me.
Anyways, yes.
Anyhow.
It was not
good.
I
mean, I think Yiska, you were still awake. I kind of expected them to pull out the stupid dive comp that they were running in games previous on King's Row Point. I'm like, they're gonna dive. They're boomed. They don't know what to do. They're gonna dive, and it's gonna look terrible. They didn't, but that's where it was at. They're playing this weird Doomfist stuff that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It was like the slowest dive ever. That's kind of what I was saying in the Discord call. It was just like, you want to play dive, but you're not going to commit to it. You're just playing Zarya Doomfist, and you're just kind of slowly approaching them instead of just picking the heroes that make sense, if that's what you want to do.
The thing is, that's not even playing towards their strength, which is weird. But maybe they thought they just had a 1-up on the meta positions, where you just like try to beat the opponent by out-comping them, not necessarily out executing them. But if you're so lacking in execution, or you've never encountered that type of execution, like, let's be honest, I think New York just ran into that one and had no way to solve that during the match. I think it was just a unsolved. I think if you play that match with the same setup, like you Groundhog Day, and we restart the clock 1 hour before the match, this match doesn't significantly go otherwise no matter what they do. Like, I think that's not a deal of they caught themselves on a bad day, or they made that up like directly before the game, so anything like that. I think they had an idea how they wanted to play that game. That idea was completely unfit to win that match, and they'd just get slapped every single time again.
I agree. I don't think, like, Yeah, a team like NYXL's caliber taking Chengdu close or having difficulty putting them away is not a good sign. I will say I still saw some nice showings, some good trends from Chengdu. Their dives were a little bit on point. Jinmu looks a little bit better on some of his weaker characters. Leave continues to improve, which I'm incredibly happy about. Faith is being slowly mended with this team, where, you know, friendship not necessarily canceled, or where it's complicated, you know, status on Facebook right now. But New York, though, if there was ever a team right now in Asia to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I think it's New York. They seemingly don't. I can't pin on when or where they're going to flip. Seoul, on the other hand, you can kind of tell, especially with these showings. Hero pools, maybe there's not a team for hero pools, but when it counts, Prophet, Gesture, and Badoshan show up and they go lights out.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's talk. Can we talk about this grand final?
Woo!
Sure.
Let's
Is it
talk.
hot in here? Oh,
Dude.
Let's talk about the grand final. It
feeling vascular.
Yeah, it was Shanghai versus Seoul. I believe one of the three of us brilliant minds called that. Have I mentioned that yet today?
Not yet.
Do you remember who it was?
Only the second time. I do. I do.
Can you ask Yiska who it was?
Yiska, do you remember who predicted Seoul to miraculously go through the bracket?
That guy who made it his imperative to vote against sense.
I need proper nouns and full names, please.
One
Pachimari.
One John KickedTripod Horseman.
I want to hear from Yiska. He's not humble enough.
Okay.
It's you, John. It was always you. It will always be you.
It'll always be me. So yes, the Seoul Dynasty did make it to the grand finals. Obvious to most of our smart, brilliant listeners, and just not to these other co-hosts. And then the Shanghai Dragons, of course, made it there as well. What we did not anticipate, though, was the Seoul Dynasty going up 3-0 early on. Yiska going to bed. Going.
No, I watched that.
That's EU.
Okay.
Yeah. So Joe
I went to bed.
going to bed.
Yeah, I was like, I need to watch the NA games. Those are, you know, mildly more important. I think this is going to be a wash. You know, Shanghai probably wins. Going to bed, guys. Good night. Missed a banger. I was rewatching it going into the show just to kind of freshen up on it. My lord, if you have not seen this game, you are missing out.
Yeah.
Give the cast some slack. They are delayed, but an incredible performance from them. I think Sideshow killed it. I think Bren brought insane amounts of energy. I would not want anybody else casting that but them.
Yeah.
The game was fantastic. One of the best games of Overwatch I've seen in a long time, possibly within the top 5, my favorite games.
Yeah, I agree.
This, so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I honestly cannot think of a single match in Overwatch League that was as good as this one. I
think it's a thing of personal preference.
But yeah.
I mean, Shock Titans definitely comes to mind.
It's true.
In Overwatch history,
Overwatch League, not an over. I'm not going.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going pre-owl. I'm not going pre-owl.
Yeah, that's fine. I think like one weakness of the series was that there were blowout maps. Where Shanghai just the Prophet man said the E word, and now we're just stomping. That might have been we're of course like it's playing on a very high level, but it's like that's my criticism towards the series, where it wasn't literally every map that was highly contested. There were some claps, especially in the Shanghai comeback, but also arguably beforehand, where it was like it felt like Seoul was just going to stomp that 4-0 and it was over. And then there came the clap back, And that in itself, and I hope there's some input, like this would be dope content for the break. We just sit down with the coaches, especially Moon and like his assistant coaches, and just talk what was the magical words that you spelled for these players. Also, of course,
Mello.
a lot of this was facilitated by big substitutions, right?
That's what I'm more interested in.
What's the reason for your substitutions here? Why was Iziaki not playing the entire time? What's the fearless thing? When do you bring him in? Why is he mortal now and has gained like eternal life through the experience of 0-40 Shanghai Dragons? Like that could actually be a super dope like mini documentary that you could be making with them from both sides. Just sit down with Wizard Young on the other side or Hokari and just talk that stuff through. And I think it would make for great content, especially because teams currently have the time for that theoretically. Yes. But yeah, I think in overall, I thought there were definitely points in the series where I thought like Seoul got it, it's over. Like this is the Gesture and Profit show, and until it was over, I didn't believe it would be over, because like the quality of those. I'm not sure if Gesture has it as much as Profit does, but there is not a player in Overwatch history who's more clutch in final situations. There isn't. Sure. You can look, there isn't. And the fact that there was not this, last like the second win for them in the series, that really surprised me. I thought Profit was just going to go, you know what? Screw that Echo. I'm just going to do what I did to Carpe in that final and just clap fools. And I don't care if his name is Lip, if his name is Fleta, I'm just going to do it to him. I didn't care about that it was Carpe. Now I don't care what your name recognition is. I'm the GOAT candidate and I'm going to do it to you. And it never came. And
I feel like it
didn't come for the first time in his career.
Yes. To that degree, to be able to clutch out a series and put the nail in the coffin, I agree with that. But the first half of Junkertown, I'll say, I was convinced that Shanghai was done. They didn't have it left in them. Again, to set the stage, both teams had to go through this, but these are teams that are just getting off of their semifinal matches. Seoul goes up 3-0. So this forces Shanghai to play against the tide of map picks for 4 maps straight.
Yeah.
That wears on you. At some point, Seoul is bound to hit a map where they're just,
that's on,
higher on. I thought that was Junkertown. Where you have someone like Fitz hitting those shots.
Yeah.
The string of headshots, the string of hero plays. Bedosian continuously pounding. Yeah. Profit and Gesture doing what we all know they can do.
Yeah.
I figured it was over. But and that's the beauty of this game. The beauty of this match in particular. This kind of, I wouldn't say budding rivalry because that feels manufactured, but with this game, with this match in particular, I don't know where Shanghai had to pull from, but they had the wherewithal, the energy, the presence of mind to be able to go above and beyond. This felt like Shock Titans. This felt like we see you on Rialto and we're going to world record you. You pull from somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know how, but you just crush it. And you cap 2 extra points and then you full hold Seoul. Like I'm at a loss. I don't know how. It's flabbergasted. I'm at a loss for words. How can you look at that Shanghai Dragons team after playing through the semifinals in a best of 5, going all 5 games, going down 3-0, playing against the map pick, and then do it again?
Yeah.
How do you not give it to Lip? How do you not give it to this team? This team is special. This is a special team.
Yeah, and they've I felt like if people look at the games that they had before in the regular season games, that sort of tenacity announced itself beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
You could win against them. Like, okay, the Chengdu blowout at the start of the season was an outlier and also facilitated by Hero Pulse, of course.
Yeah.
But even the Seoul beating that they received, not beating, but the 3-2, they didn't give them an inch. It looked like they would fall over. They didn't. Then it happened against Charge again. Like, you're not, they are never outside of a series. Ever since that dumb loss, right? So this is championship winning qualities. And I hope we get together at some point later in the year where we can look at Shock and potentially Paris and hopefully Fusion and maybe the Mayhem.
Oh my God.
And if that all happens,
don't get ahead,
then
boys. Don't get ahead.
Yeah, but this is the quality of a team that a finals, like a grand final, drains you in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that, that tenacity and also the ability to go this long is nuts. And we know from Overwatch history that this stamina is required to win finals. Finals have been lost on stamina and won on stamina.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every Apex final was that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was a skill that, for instance, Titans had to master, or the old Runaway had to master in order to finally win one, where they went like into 2 finals and were just like drained by the time. This shot caller didn't have the energy left to bring them across the finish line. They lost narrowly. Shanghai has that stuff. Also because they have movable parts that keep them somehow fresh in the series, but also unboomable parts like Fearless, who, like, that was such an outstanding performance on Winston for him. Like, his juggles looked crisp as hell.
Everybody on that team just MVP.
I'll tell you, this season is a rookie season, but it is also a season of rejuvenated and revived careers. I'm looking towards the Paris guys who we thought were out. Nico, soon. I'm looking towards like someone. This case, of course. Even Fleda. Like, Fleda was the curve of his career was probably not going upwards at this moment. At this point, Godspeed's coming back.
Yeah.
Like, this is, as much as it is a career of the a season of the rookies, of the great rookies that we have. Yaki, Ants, XCI, BQB has been around for a while.
You can say Sparkle even though he's not here yet.
We'll see how that goes.
You can.
But it's beautiful that we have this possibility, and it comes with great coaching.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the same thing of a player I didn't think was worth keeping around is McGravy. And look at him now. I thought this kid's career was over.
I think,
100%.
That was, like, he wasn't playing. He was one of those guys that you keep around for the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
atmosphere. He provides a little bit of depth in case of you need a week off or a game off, or, learn this new off-tank hero for us. And
and that's the guy you get rid of in the offseason. They didn't, and now he's performing really well and is the full package in terms of, like, trash talking, in terms of, like, media presence. I heard he's going to even get a YouTube channel. He's playing really well. Like, that's the type of narratives that we need, the longevity in careers as well as the rookies coming in. And as long as you want it, that's what we want. As long as you want it, you should have a place in this league. If you can bring it to the table. And it's not about age, and it's not about, like, this perception of whatever it is. It's a number, and that shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter how long you've been in the league. If you can bring it in at the times that that the league requires it of you, you should have a spot here. And that's the story that this year is telling us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to NA. We got to talk about. We haven't even talked about NA yet, and Yiska's already drinking juice. So what do you got for us, Yiska? I'm just kidding. You don't necessarily have anything for us yet, do you? Let's take a look at this NA bracket here. Let me see if we can tackle this somewhat responsibly. Boston Uprising looked okay.
Yeah. Continued on an upwards trajectory. Happy to see. All green lights here. Boston looking good. Happy to say that. Tired of pooping on them, like I said last show. Punk, Myeonbong, Fusions doesn't look bad. This is a good sign. This is a great sign. And you're getting a break. So if this was more a morale thing, or more of a time to repair that and get it more on the mend, maybe Boston comes back in July or June, or I don't know when the league's coming back. I don't really care. Well, sort of, but more so on the break. Maybe they'll look better. I hope to see them continue to improve.
Yeah.
Yep. Still at the bottom. Still got a long way to go.
Unfortunately, yeah. Somebody's got to be there.
You know, taking Paris to map 5 is not like...
That's not an easy show.
Does Paris get 3-0'd? Have we seen Paris get...
They got 3-0'd by Mayhem. If I remember correctly.
Not this week. But like,
no,
you
not
just mean
this
in general?
week, but in general.
Schedules... So yeah, basically
Houston
the thing is
did 3-0
like Paris doesn't get 3-0'd, and they take good teams to map 5s all the time. It feels like.
Yeah, they're a very good team.
Having
that showing is a good sign.
It's loading.
It's a good sign.
They got 3-0'd by the Florida Mayhem and the Houston Outlaws.
Yep.
Yeah. Way back when though.
Yeah,
beginning of
first
March,
week of Hero Pools.
Yep.
Where they didn't have hit scan. So, anyways, but my point being is that taking Paris deep is a good sign because
very good sign.
Paris takes everybody deep, or any good team deep. So, it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. They're good.
Yeah.
They're better.
Yeah.
I think the other one that we need to talk about on the Friday games is the Fuel Outlaws. We had some contested opinions here on the show. Dallas Fuel did defeat the Outlaws 3-1, a close 3-1, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
closer than a 3-1 would tell you.
They also played very well. Like it's just.
Well,
I'm not
and
sure
the Fuel have been playing fairly well for the past few weeks. Like I feel like they came into that with. I mean, yes, they're the Fuel and Decay are one and the same. I actually just believe that. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, the scope of accuracy is definitely a thing that you got to mention. It feels a little low hanging fruit, but come on.
It is pretty crazy though.
That is absolutely disgusting. Like, especially when your Widowmaker is actually playing quite well as well. I think it was sitting at 31%, which is in itself is pretty nutty.
Very good stat, yeah.
I don't know, like
46.
Yeah,
that's bonkers.
Yeah, I wonder, like. That's one of those games where I think if you replay that a lot, is the result going to be the same between those two?
Sure.
Because it felt like that was predicated on an outlier performance that we couldn't even necessarily say Decay is able to just, do at will. And maybe I'm underestimating how Dallas set him up, and I just have to review that specifically. But yeah, overall, it's still a very entertaining game. I felt
very fun,
entertaining game. I know we're really bearish, right? Yeah, we're bearish on the Outlaws. I think just overall, like something hasn't quite clicked for them just yet, but I'm still confident there is. I'm still, you just kind of got to like give it the eye test and just kind of go like, is this a team that's given up or isn't improving or isn't equipped to handle changes or things like that? And for the Outlaws, I can't say yes to any of those questions. I think they are equipped. They do have good pieces, but it hasn't quite clicked yet. And you can bet your that one's for you, Homebound, so you can take a drink. You can bet your that I'm going to be, asking Dream about that on Wednesday is like, what hasn't translated this team that I still do believe is that kind of should be in that gatekeeping, 10 to 14 range of teams. What has kept them as low as they have been? Still don't know.
Yep. I think it's a good way to put it. They haven't clicked yet, but I think they're improving.
I have the hunch that a team like Outlaws might benefit from a performance coach or a mental health professional in terms of bringing it together. Just like, that Mia Kjellberg, someone like that, right? Like the psychologist that has immense success and
get Astralis' phone number. I think that would do Outlaws a giant benefit.
Yeah, and I think the mental game, like we've talked about confidence with Christopher a lot, and like that is something that could maybe be looked at. Because as a target, like if you talk to coaches who are screwing them, they are still like
doing well.
Team you definitely want to have there, right? So still a solid series. Mia Stelberg, very good. Yeah, thank you, Banta. That's her name. Psychologist, I think, for OG as well as Astralis, as well as was it Ensha? I'm not.
I think I vaguely remember something like that.
Yeah, so
but the other two
massively massively performing teams. Some of them overperforming over their power levels or their firepower, and like that's like it only makes sense. Like if you have a physical coach and someone like that takes care of your physiology in sports, right? What is esports played with? Mostly with the mind. So for someone to take care of that in a team environment, it's just like that's just like a thing that's going as we increase the spending. Everyone's going to have that, and teams already do. Some of them, like the Outlaws have the. I don't want to say. I don't know if he's a mental health professional, but like HP4 gamers with the, like this de-stressing. And also, of course, they are also keeping care of the physiology of players. That definitely is just like the logical conclusion and
the next step,
where that's our adaptation. Like if we emulate the lessons from traditional sports, it just makes sense that this is something that is going to come into esports as a staple. Again, other esports already have it. Some teams in the Overwatch League already have it. Some teams in Season 1 already had it. And it just has to become a staple. That's just how it is, especially with travel and everything. Someone that manages team temperature and mental health is going to be important. Yep.
We're running short on time, so we're going to go through these a little bit faster. Next one we need to really talk about here is the... let's talk about the LA Valiant first. They went a little bit deeper. They beat Paris in 3-2, made it to the semifinals against the Shock. They lost 3-0, but overall, I would say a relatively like strong performance. I mean, I don't think that there was a world where the Valiant were going to beat the Shock. And just based on how the bracket played out, I don't think that there was a world that they made it into the grand final, right? Yeah. So overall, I think you look at this, though, and go, this is a Valiant team that I even tweeted about it. It ended up being food poisoning. But I was like, do you ever get like that feeling that an upset, there's something wrong in the Overwatch force? And there's a part after their performance against Paris where I'm like, what if they just boom San Francisco here? And I was way wrong. I was way wrong. But hey, I was right where it mattered.
Sometimes you gotta make those calls,
Right where it was mattered. So they fell short here, but I think overall Valiant had a valiant showing this weekend.
I want to see that run back though. I want to see Paris with Xe. I want to see Paris. I think maybe it's disingenuous to give them sparkle. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be the case if they ever meet each other again that he's just going to be playing. But I really wonder if Xe makes enough of a difference to put the Valiant away. I think they were very dive reliant, and that did kind of get in their way more often than not, where Valiant could be able to play the dive. They can pilot the dive very well. They can also play these slow Rhine comps with Ashe and Tracer, and they can kind of play that Mayhem style with the hit scan double shield with Tracer as well. They could do it all, where it felt like Paris was kind of boxed in, which kind of sucks. I want to see that match played again with Xe and see what happens. Give them time.
I've been wanting that for the past 6 weeks. Okay. Welcome to Paris. They don't have them.
It's true. But yeah, props to Valiant though. That's no shame to Valiant. Valiant came up, they showed up. I still think I agree with Reinforce on this. I don't think this team is getting the credit they deserve. Custa, we get it, but yeah, I agree. Valiant is not amongst the conversations that they should be. I'll put it like that.
All right. Final 2 topics. The Florida Mayhem, I think, are the big storyline from defeating. This was not a easy road at all. Like, hey, name 3 of the 4 teams that you don't want to play before you hit the grand finals. And you're like, let me see. Reign, Fusion, Shock. That's who they played this weekend. They played Reign, Fusion, Shock. Defeat the Reign 3-1, which we need to discuss where the Reign sit now after this has happened, because the Reign stonks have been going down. It's been raining rain stonks. And it has not been very good for them for a long time, and we've been questioning them on the show for weeks, if not months, as far as, is this that top 3 team? The Florida squad, though, on the flip side, we've been questioning the same thing. They're 6-1 post hero pools, not including this last weekend. They are a team that, but at the same time, they didn't really have a lot of results against top teams. I think they had 1 result against top team, and the rest of them have been, hashtag NA-LOL kind of things. So it was really hard to place them. If anything, this weekend has showed us that we're definitely undervaluing them. But how high did the Florida Mayhem go here after the performance this weekend? I see a lot of people saying, even in our own chat, that you're dumb if they're not in your top 3, period. But I'm going to expand it to say top 5 period, top 3 NA.
Top 5 like in the world? That's tough.
In OWL. Yeah.
In OWL, that's difficult to place the Mayhem within the top 5 of all the OWL teams.
I thought we were talking about
that's difficult.
the Reign, and I was
no. Sorry, I did kind of a confusing transition where we went back to Mayhem because we don't really have time to talk about Reign right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd have to think about the Mayhem top 5 in OWL a little bit, but top 3 in NA. I think this performance in the Melee has, in my mind, solidified them. Can Paris fight back against that and kind of try to regain that with Sparkle? We're gonna have to see. Could very well be the case, and we can just move them back up. But for right now, I think it goes to Mayhem. I think it's Mayhem. Top 3 in NA.
So number 1, Shock. Number 2, Fusion.
Philly. And you've got Florida.
Yep. So then you've got a choice between essentially Florida, Paris, Gladiators, Valiant. If we're gonna really widen that out a little bit.
Gladiators, Valiant?
Valiant Gladiators.
Yeah, I like that a little bit better.
Sure, it wasn't necessarily in an order. Sorry, that was just like looking at which teams would you like. They didn't have the best performances this weekend, but do you count out Gladiators because they lost 3-1 to Fusion? Probably not.
No, but they also haven't been performing all that great. Like, I'm really not inspired by anything that they've showed me.
I agree.
Nothing about them has really like impressed me at all.
They're a consistent 6th to me. Like, just always like, upper 3rd.
Yep.
The gatekeepers to good teams. Yeah, like I don't think it's wrong to put the Mayhem there. I don't. Yeah. And I think that they proved it this week because they had pretty decisive showings against both the Fusion and the Reign.
Yep. You can't ignore these players anymore. They've shown you time and time again with who we were putting as top teams that Yaki can be a star. A criticism of this team that I was trying to die on that hill. Yaki's not going to be enough to win them games. I was wrong. Very wrong. Incredibly wrong. When you put him in this kind of scenario, he will take over games. He has taken over games. He probably will continue to take over games, right? Gangnam Jin, fantastic rookie. Gargoyle, definitely has some selling points. Chris, Goddess is Lucio bad, but he can perform on Brig. Has improved on Brig. His BAP also serviceable at least. Not a hole anymore. When you remove hero pools, is this a team that severely is impacted with hero pools? I agree, but I think most teams are severely impacted. Maybe Florida's a little bit more impacted. Hard to tell. But when you let them work and you give them a composition, they can master it. I won't say that they mastered it. I think that's a little bit too strong, but they look fantastic on what we can see with what is available right now, or what is good right now.
So there is a good question in chat from Pandavan, who says, why not Mayhem second? And I'm assuming that they're implying because they beat the Fusion and the Fusion are number 2, therefore transitive property, they should be number 2.
No.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing.
It's not how it works.
Like, we gotta agree on something what we're saying when we're saying they're second best in NA. And that is strongly, like, whatever your answer is strongly determined by what your time frame is for which you apply this to. And that time frame has to be in sync with your belief of what the hero pools displayed for you.
By the way, for anyone watching over video, I'm sorry to interrupt. The schedules do not include results from last weekend, so just okay. Sorry. Continue, Yiska. Yeah. Sorry again.
No problem. So the Mayhem have the issue of not having fought a team that's actually was competitive, or it was a good team to the point where that could be a test of quality. So in that representative time scheme, so I find it a weak argument to say someone popped off one weekend during a hero pool iteration that was no hero pools. And based on that, I say they're second. If that's your definition, no beef. that's what you assume like power rankings or whatever to mean. If we're looking at the long play, I think Fusion had more opportunity to distinguish themselves, and they also did. So in that regard, the sample size of us seeing if Mayhem is actually like second, and the sample size of Fusion actually being second, by them having to play Paris so often and whatnot, is very different. And I think by that, I would justify the Fusion still being second. Also because like I felt that they didn't do themselves justice this weekend. And I wonder if they weren't already thinking ahead before this.
I don't want to steal anything away from Florida this week at all, because they played well and they beat teams that I don't think any reasonable person who isn't involved in scrims or probably on the Mayhem staff would say that they would have won. But at the same time, like, watching the Mayhem Florida game, like, I looked at that as just a severe Fusion underperformance as well. I don't want to I don't want to take anything away from the Mayhem, but this was not like, Fusion's best, I think, and what we've seen. And I pulled up the standings before, and a lot of the justification is why we're not ready to put them there at number 2. If you look at schedules, why am I so bad at seeing things? Can I not see? I can see. If you look at it, right? So the teams that they have beaten: Justice, Titans, post breakup, Uprising, Eternal 3-0, fair enough. Losing 0-3 to Atlanta Reign, and then beating Defiant. So they've got 1.5 really strong games in there. You throw in one weekend that's very, very uncharacteristic and an outlier of the formats that we've seen, the heroes that we've seen, and just what the preparation looks like and is different there. And you create this environment where it is possible for a team, more so than other weeks, to overperform.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm saying that Mayhem haven't overperformed or Mayhem are overperforming, as much as I'm saying Mayhem haven't demonstrated consistency against these top 5 OWL teams to put them in the top 3 NA, or top 3 NA teams to put them in. One win against Fusion isn't quite enough to just have them topple the Fusion after the Fusion have been so decisive against the other top 2-3 teams in the world. That's my feeling on it personally. But what do I know? I just push buttons.
In a sense, we also just, as you said, we're redefining what good team actually means. Yep. Because before, good team means wins regular season matches. 1 or 2 a week that you got to prepare for, where you know your opponent and you know the hero pools a little bit more in advance than, or the situation a little bit more in advance. You have more time to prepare. This time around, it was asked, play potentially a lot of games after another, and the preparation for each game after the first will likely look different for you, other than having a really, really weak opponent in the first. But even there, if there are specific if teams have idiosyncrasies in the types of comps they're running, then you're preparing differently, right?
Yeah.
And that is a completely, or not completely new skill, but it is a different skill towards what preparation looks like for you if you haven't seen that other team on hero pools, right? So theoretically, you could counter prep more in the very small time that you have, then, I mean, okay, if the opponent has 2 matches that week, that's kind of moot. But yeah, you catch the grift. There's different seemingly skill sets towards that, especially also towards player stamina playing these matches and high intensity of them, and keeping that energy up. Of course, you could argue energy should always be the same in scrims and matches. I'm not sure if that's actually true in practice for the majority of teams. So
I wager it's not. But.
I think it's a considerably different skill set. And then if we find out that Mayhem are, for instance, maybe it isn't just this meta iteration that favored them with like being able to play a lot of Tracer and the current balance state as well. And we find out next month that they are actually just good at playing tournaments for some odd reason. Then that, even though I don't think that's a thing as much, but yeah, we definitely have to redefine what good means. And under that new umbrella, depending on what you're weighting towards that is, I'm not mad at you calling Florida the second best team today. I think that's fine. Especially also, you got to see it in tandem with what is Fusion able to provide in these situations.
I don't think it's wrong. I just think it's a little premature.
I think it's wrong.
I think being premature is wrong, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I don't like hate like the explanation of it. Like it makes sense.
Sure.
I think that Fusion wasn't the team on the day, and just beating a team on the day doesn't mean that you just get to take their spot. You have to consistently prove that.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it yet. They have potential to be 100%. Like, was Florida Mayhem the best team on the day? Yes, they were, unequivocally. Can they continue to be? That's the question. And until we answer that question,
it's not going to take long. If they come back in post-hero pools and they have a game against the Fusion and beat them again, or they have a decisive win against Paris or LA or
then we
whatever,
can revisit
or
it. Yep.
Fusion stumble and continue to stumble a little bit more against Fusion or LA, then I think like you have. But being a good analyst doesn't mean that like you all of a sudden just like prematurely put somebody up into number 2 because they had a good weekend. I don't think. We have one more match to talk about. We need to talk about it right now. And that is the grand finals, Florida Mayhem versus San Francisco Shock. None of us saw this one coming, I think, but
nope.
It is a thing. And you know what? Props to I mean, there's a few things, right? So like immediately I want to just be like, props to Mayhem for hanging in there and taking some maps off of them. But this is a Shock team without Sinatra and without Architect that by many estimations of the imagination could be in a very poor mental spot right now. You lose your former MVP and I don't want to say like team leader, but like definitely a staple, to the team.
I mean, Krusty said it, yeah.
And then you've got Architects gone too, and not just gone, but going to another team. You've got these 2 players leaving, and people are very quickly selling their Shock stocks. And I don't blame them for doing that. They come back here though, and they honestly, like they drop 3 maps. 1 against Fuel, which I think is totally respectable and doesn't really say anything negatively to it. I think just about Fuel could take 1 map off of any team in the Overwatch League, I think.
Yeah, they have that kind of firepower.
3-0 against LA Valiant. Great. Can't ask for much more there. And then a 4-2 in the grand finals for a team that you probably didn't prepare for. And I think most teams on the back feet, on the back of their feet. So with that being said, it's, and again, like there's, from an outside perspective, Dream said something. I think it's not great to speculate on team mentality without hearing anything from within the team. And this is totally outside. I'm not saying like, I mean, they did
very publicly talk about Sinatra being a leadership personality, like Architect being sort of like the glue guy that really has no edges in terms of like having any ego to attach to that. I also think I forgot who it was, but there was definitely something about someone saying something from the Shock side in that vein, and I would have to look at it. But just on the outside, also due to the discussion with Christopher, like
right. The major point sense. Being is that we have these indicators here to say that this weekend was really important for the Shock to establish which team they were post these changes. They can become better. They can become worse. They can stay the same. Whatever. I'm not trying to say that everybody was devastated and they pulled it together in a different way. I'm not trying to say that. All I'm trying to say is that it would be, I can see how it would be very easy losing those pieces for that to have a negative effect on the immediate results of your team. And this wasn't something that we saw here. Shock, I mean, pretty much took it in stride. You could just kind of change Sinatra and Architect, just scribble them in over the top and whatever, and you probably wouldn't have known the difference. They look great.
Yeah, fantastic showing. I think it's not the same feeling or the same energy that we can subscribe, attribute to the Shanghai Dragons win, but in a similar vein, kind of losing those figures, kind of trying to find their identity again. Maybe it feels like a narrative point to bring up. They're having Rascal step in to be a leader. Does that change things? What does this team look like without the opportunity to play Sinatra? I think Sinatra probably would have played today if he was still in this team. I think having a Tracer meta like this, having a Tracer duel against Yaki probably would have been right up their alley. I think it probably would have helped them quite a large margin to put Mayhem away. But they still managed to look like the Shock. This is still the unbeaten team. This is the championship team. They're going to defend. They keep making that statement very clear and putting Mayhem away. I wouldn't say without trouble, but this is also a Mayhem team that is, I feel like overperforming has negative connotations, but performing very well. This team is popping off.
Uncharacteristically performing.
Yes,
like it's not overperforming necessarily. It's just not characteristic to what we've seen.
Yeah. No, this might be a level up. This might be something different that we haven't seen from Florida. This might be an evolution, right? That something may have clicked with them, and now this is the Florida Mayhem that we can see in the future, and that'd be great. But this is different. This is not the same Florida Mayhem that we've seen, time and time again with hero pools. Maybe that has something to do with hero pools. Not going to expound on that. That being said, this is still 2019 Shock. This is the Shock team. This is the best coach in the league. This is one of the best, if not the best, roster in terms of talent depth in the league. People in chat asking where's Striker. Again, I think you need time to be able to bring somebody in like that. I'd wager that they're probably not scrimming with him. Would they have scrimmed with him with enough time going into this match? I'd probably guess so. With the meta that I saw, wouldn't you like to have Striker come in and try to duel with Tracer and pilot that Tracer to Yaki levels? Probably. Why you didn't see that? They probably didn't have the time to be able to prepare that and integrate him in. So if we give them more time, that probably happens. The talent on this team goes deep. Best coach. Continue to be the best team.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to have the former underdog now to be the guy to beat.
Sure. We
feels like an
this.
organic
Go
development,
ahead.
Right?
Yeah. We talked about, and I think we've been actually pretty harsh, even post Albert coming on the show. We've been pretty harsh on the Mayhem. Albert came in preseason on this very show and gave us a lot to be optimistic about the Florida Mayhem. Do you guys remember what the following 6 or whatever weeks that we saw? It was pretty shitty Overwatch. Like, it wasn't great. We're like, oh man, like we were ready to be bought in, and it was not good. And hero pools hit and something clicked. I can't tell you what it is. I'm not smart enough. But, I am so excited to assuming that the Mayhem continue even at like 3/4 of what they're playing now. I'm so happy to just redact everything we said for the first 6 weeks and be like, you know what, you guys turned it around. It's not one of those like there's no more conversation about is this a team that needs to be relegated? Is this a team that needs to clean house? It isn't a team that it's now a team, and it sounds like internally they're relatively healthy too. I don't have a ton of like insiders on that there, but it sounds like this is a team that's not just like what they're riding out. You know, they don't know how to ride out lows because welcome to the Mayhem. Like that's what that. Welcome to Mayhem. You're gonna take a back seat to everything, and it's not gonna feel good. And you better be ready to get beat up. So, anyways, all I'm trying to say there is like kudos for the Mayhem. They, I think they performed very well and admirably, taking 6 maps into a best of or first of 4. I guess is technically
best of 7.
Best of 7, yeah, it was a best of 7.
Yep.
You know, to a best of 7, taking it to 6, like that's great. Like that's it's not the closest you want to, you know, you're gonna see or you want to see, but you're not upset seeing it.
Against the best team, you know, in your region, that's no crying shame. You hold your head high, Florida Mayhem staff, coaches. Again, Albert, fantastic job building out this team. I hope this continues. I'd like to write that story one day of how arguably the worst franchise going into this year, historically, now is talked about as one of the top 5 teams in the region. That's incredible. That's fantastic. I hope he got a contract extension. I hope these coaches get contract extensions. This is a great team.
Isn't it nuts how there's a theoretically a world where next tournament, the 2 worst teams in Overwatch League history win both of them?
Yep. I was very close to tweeting that out on a Mayhem victory. That is the dream international matchup right now. The Florida Mayhem and the Shanghai Dragons to not, you know, owl regulars.
That's nuts. Yeah.
Imagine what that sounds like to them. They're like, whoa, what is this game got going on? That the 0-40 team and the team that's so bad that it was overshadowed by the worst team, right? Like,
and it's so satisfying because it is not, you know, like predicated on these BS mechanics of American sports where it's like, oh, you get a draft pick for being really, really bad. We reward you for being absolutely terrible. No, that's not what happened. Like they had to rebuild from zero.
Oh my God. Yep. And it's not just American sport.
You're completely morally rotten for that, by the way. But
I'm muting Yiska. We're just muting him. I'm just putting the mute on. You can't hear him. I don't know what he's saying. Can't hear you, Yiska. Sorry.
I agree.
I still can't hear you. So say you're still
it
muted.
is a dope story.
Nice.
You're still muted.
I see the mute window above my face.
You're still muted. Okay, you're back. You're fine.
Okay. Yeah, but that in itself is like a really cool story and like one we should probably lean into in terms of creating content around it in the future.
Yep. Very happy. Very happy to see Florida again. Hope it continues.
Weekend.
Fantastic weekend. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to live up to this. It's going to be hard, but by
Imagine
golly,
the
I
next
hope it
one
does.
is just like 9 3-0s. It's just like dumb.
It probably won't live up in terms of like just the stories, but
sure.
Just seeing good Overwatch is such a relief. It's just like everything just feels easier. It feels better. I think that the play everybody's just walking around with a smile on their face. Yeah. Like it's such a good thing. It might not be the best. It might not be this might just be an outlier in terms of, you know, tournaments, but it's good to be back. Hopefully, please, we get some news on what's plaguing this game.
I'm not advocating for the NBA implementation chat. Settle down.
There's a thing called so maybe you know this mystical concept of transcendence, where it's like they asked a guy that was supposedly transcended and what it is like, and he said it's completely normal, just 5 inch off the ground. And that's currently the state I feel I'm in, like with Overwatch specifically, where it feels like everything is super, like talking about these issues, being able to tackle them feels very lightweight. It's like the weight has been lifted off of us. We can now look to what's the future, because we have a future, because there's still something on the horizon, because we now have esports wisdom being applied in some sensical way, where it is being heard by the people in power, and hopefully we can create this towards something productive with the great creatives that we have, talking about the casting scene, but also talking about or the talent with, like, I mean, giving the tools to Sideshow and Brand is never going to disappoint in that regard. The competitive frameworks, like it all feels very positive, but also because we've suffered so much already that it just like it feels so liberating in a sense. 5 feet off the ground.
Very contrasting. Just,
yeah.
It's kind of like, it's an entirely different thing. But it also goes to show, like, anybody to the Overwatch League, like how quickly Overwatch League content creators and fans are willing to forgive and trust and just be like, they just want to love the game, right? Like, and even us, we want to love the game. And I'll be real, a lot of people have been very, very outspoken on how much they dislike our criticism of the league. And
that sucks.
And if things like this past weekend come from our criticisms, give you a big old you every time, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, sorry, man. Like, this is hopefully the type of changes that you get.
You get good changes, you get good praise. If you have bad changes, you get bad praise. It's the way the world works. You're going to get that from those podcasts. We're very honest people.
And it's not perfect yet, right? We still got to work on the workload. Was still nuts. Probably the worst ever in a week in Overwatch, barring like finals preparations. But we shouldn't be overly negative about that. We should say, like,
maybe the dog pile.
What can we do to help with that? Limit the amount of maps, maybe something like this. You know, like, we can tinker around with the formula because we can now tinker around with the formula.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right, let's get out of here, though. Another long show. Man, we've just been killing you with 2-hour shows recently. Hope you had a ton of fun, though. Really, really appreciate everybody being here. I do believe we have a new patron, Joe.
Patron is Rexane, upgraded his pledge from 5 to 25, so he's now a new patron producer. So thank you very much. You'll be read amongst the Hall of Fame, the title, credit, those people. You're going to be one of them. You did it. Proud of you. Mildly stroking, but that's okay. We got there, Rexane. Thank you.
Thank you, Rex. Yiska, during the God, Joe, I love you. During the show, we did have some new subs.
Okay,
you're up. And you're kind of ready.
Wait, yeah, I'm ready. I see my name. New subs. John Condon 620. I'm kind of scared of running into a joke from Joe, but going to power through it. Homebound 11, also a friend of the show that always drinks when we beep. Sweet 10, thank you for the sub. Then thank me for the sub, because I feel bad when we have like a sub train and someone gifts subs and then it's one of the hosts of the show, which is kind of rough. 2 rounds, Leonidas, yes. ZT Money, Urkel81. Actually, like, someone that's called Urkel probably was born in 81, right? Do you guys even
Family Matters
even understand the reference?
Family Matters, yeah.
Did
I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does anyone under 20 in chat know that reference? That's what I'm
probably not.
Roboco _CH. That's a gifted sub. Then Sparky's Shocker and Roy Boy TV. Thank you for the subs, guys. much appreciated.
Awesome. No new 5-star iTunes review, but a great way to support the show is just to go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review, make sure to leave a little comment so that your name shows up, and then we'll thank you on the next show. And a big thank you to our patron producers: Battlecrab Pin Lotion, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Porkchop, Sammy, Kasha67, Coochie Kopi, Shara Picasso, Nathan Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Refined Beans, and Rex Zane. Thank you so much. Appreciate you a ton. Patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. Other than that, we're going to be back Wednesday with Coach for the Houston Outlaws, Dream. Going to come on and basically it's going to be great because he can tell us how dumb we are in real time.
Yeah. Oh, and he will. If you don't know Dream, he will.
He will let. Yeah, he's been. Yeah.
You'll like Dream. You'll like Dream Chat. Trust.
Well, Dream's been on
Dream's
the show
good
before.
People. Are they?
Yep.
Was I there?
Yep.
Oh, I don't remember.
All right.
My memory is horrible, man. Jesus.
Way to go. Well, way to go. But yes, we are excited for. Yeah, it was like maybe like episode 30-ish.
Yeah.
It was a while ago. Yiska, shout outs for the week. Where can people find you?
As always, on GG Recon, just put out an article sort of recapping what happened this weekend, both from an ecosystem point of view, like addressing the player games and all the good stuff that happened there, and also gameplay point of view, and basically summed up while we're ready to heal, while there's gave you a little hint at the end. Maybe people picked up on it, maybe they didn't. I'm not going like as far as to say that the future is looking bright, but we got a little light at the end of the tunnel where it's like, nice, okay, this is where we walk towards sternly, and in contrast, it's just like a very pleasant experience that way. So I think I have 10 little takeaways from the May melee that I outlined, which are live on GG Recon.
Sweet. Joe, as for you?
This week, got a little bit of Valorant coming. Another team to profile, another unsigned team that needs a home. So we're going to be touching on them. But in terms of Overwatch, we're getting a very familiar face. If you're familiar with my content, that will be a piece about him. And somebody who still is kind of left with an empty trophy case. Yeah. That did not necessarily perform, but is still a fantastic player, and looking at their struggles. So you can let your imagination run wild. That's what's coming this week.
Sweet. As for me, you can find me everywhere at KickedTripod, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. It's all there. Shows are posted on youtube.com/KickedTripod if you want to check those out. Otherwise, we'll see. We're still waiting to hear on partner. Also, Eric was so great to point out that we do have game night on Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, right after Spike Drop, which is our Valorant show. If you like what we talk about here and want to hear it but translated into Valorant terms, you can check that out on Fridays at noon right here, twitch.tv/KickedTripod or youtube.com/SpikeDrop. Other than that, I don't think we have anything else to say or do. We're going to go, and we will be back right after the music for a little bit of a post show. Hang out with y'all. And, yeah, it'll be a good time. All right, we're out of your chat. Thanks again. We'll see you next time for episode 105 in Dream on Wednesday. Bye-bye.